So three of the characters which Kangana has played, you've done the costumes for. All three are super cool. They are really a little bit of badass also. One is Payal from Katti Batti. One is Agni from Dhaakad. And another one is Bobby from Judgementall Hai Kya. And now Payal is more bohemian cool jaisa na. Agni is rough and tough cool.
Yeah.
And then Bobby is like crazy and cool. Matlab, her outfits though are all over the place, just like her.
She's like a child at the head and like, putting things together.
Yeah. So how is the style of Bobby different from Agni and Payal? How are they different? कैसे style किया?
I think you mentioned them all in a very interesting way already. Like, in Katti Batti, we completely Payal as a character, like, art school and fashion school students, they always have some element which stands out, like, and then, back in 2000 also, like, there was this film, 2001, 2002 film, Laksh, which was a very way ahead of his time looking film, like, so we took a little inspiration from that film also, how Preeti Zinta was presented as the character, like, so also she kept changing the look in the film, if you notice, with the span
Yes.
of time. But then we got this, the whole thing of that Kangana Doki is a fashion student, like, and fashion student never like stagnant in their style. They will do something to their hair, they will do something to their clothing, they will wear some very funky boots. So again, we got that very cool inspiration to like, like, कि वो प्रीति जिंटा की skirt ले लो, but उसको हमने from somewhere in Rajasthan, we had picked like these cushion covers, which had that hand embroidery, that mochi work, what is called ना, वो लेके हमने उसका एक corset बना दिया था उनके लिए. Then we had picked very vague, very like small pieces of jewelry and we made those necklaces. Her like, those little charms what she was wearing. I think all these fashion was still very catching up back in 2012, 2013 and like, those super short denim shorts with like voluminous shirt like tucked in with a hat and all like, those and boots. So I think that's what people back then in 2013, 2014, the film came out. They're like, oh, like, this is very cool and new. And again, Kangna, like, wearing it became like a little talk of the town then, like, to,
हाँ.
but yeah, sadly the film didn't do that well, but her fashion was spoken, like, about a lot, like even her, that pixie look, what she did, we had done this from that Audrey Hepburn, that maximum of the interviews I gave for her, that little short hair wig with like that velvet dress, where she's in a bob pixie hair, like very, 50s, 60s, very summer dress. We gave her, velvet deep burgundy color where she's wearing like, those, we gave her this, how kids used to wear those little socks, which is up till the ankle with like little lace and all, and she's wearing stilettos with it and all, like, and it's an halter dress, very summer 50s dress, with a lot of volume on the flare. So, these things became very fashion people back then, like, started talking about, okay, this dress is very cool. It's so like getting back to the vintage fashion and all those things. So it caught an eye, like, yeah.
I remember back then we also like this bohemian fashion you're talking about. I also bought some silver jewelry and stuff and those jhola bags because of this trend going on.
Yeah, it was very Delhi Janpat. You see a lot of
Yes.
these junk jewelry, and we went shopping Delhi like crazy. We shopped so much for her from Delhi, like her boots and all from Sarojini, her जनपद की जो आपको typical boho jewelry मिलती है ना, हमने वो सब तोड़ के coins को निकाल के उसमें earrings बनवाई थी, bracelets बनवाए थे. फिर वो you get those fake origami flowers, they sell on the streets. We made those little hair flower bands and all out of it. We also made like bags के ऊपर, bag के ऊपर हमने बहुत सारी अजीब सी वो coins और mirror work और के सब patches लगाए थे. We had put like suede leather tassels on a bag and all. We done all these things, like.
Wow. Oh wow, it's so interesting to know.
And then coming to Dhaakad, where she was like completely like a badass, like a cop, not a cop, like a raw agent. But again, the Bollywood style version of like a raw agent who gets into like, makeovers and like, looks are changed and also, yeah, but the whole thing was to keep that high fashion vibe in Dhaakad because also the director wanted the film to look very like, out of the box, very cool, quirky. So that was where, again, I would use the word quirky every time for Kangana because she's the only person where I can get to do that most vague out of the box things and she will never question me that why am I doing this. So that then coming to the most favorite character till date of mine where I have like loved dressing was Judgementall Hai Kya, because it was a mix of colors, throwing things on her, the way she
Yes.
carried each and every look with that bob cut hair with those little weird tic tac pins and all, with that back purse. So we had got in fact, even in my team, whoever's worked with me for years, they all only mention till date about Bobby as a character, like, you know.
It was really fun watching her as well. Matlab, the way you've mixed stuff, it looks like it really represents and depicts her in what's going on, the inside.
So here he specifically said, I don't want to see anything fashion, but I want fashion. I don't want colors, but I want colors. So we were in like, it's Prakash Kovalamudi. I can still not forget his name. One of the best directors I ever worked with, like, very quirky, very like, very intellectual. We had like a thorough, like a mentioned detail of how the character grew. Though we didn't show it in the film, but we had a backstory to work on to reach till here, like how she is like that. We got graphic designers to make this very vague prints. I wouldn't say that, it just sounds like I'm praising myself, but these these massive prints, on plain t-shirts are so in now. Like, where people have that wear like, a very oversized skirt with an oversized top piece. So we are thinking like, my team and all, we still discuss sometimes that the people who worked with me on that film, like, it was such a ahead of its time model of film. Like, if you go to see, like, where she was wearing these very cool sneakers with a knee-length skirt and an oversized t-shirt with like some very weird bag she's holding, which is a handcuff hanging to it. This quirky fashion is so in right now. So, but and that relaxed athleisure wear, like we tried on her, where she's wearing oversized track pants with like oversized t-shirt and a jacket hoodie. If you notice in the film, like there are a lot of these little details. Even like those there were certain things which had to enter the scene that way, where she's looking into the keyhole to the other side of the film, and we made a very small little print on the back where the person is standing with a torch. On we only see the print of the face and the torchlight. So there's a lot of things to kind of compare and show the scene's progression. The entire wardrobe of Bobby was my favorite because everything was made for that character. There was nothing that you gone from a shelf and picked it. Everything was like DIY, cut sleeves, add something to it, or make a t-shirt with this kind of print, or make a skirt with those weird faces on it and all. The red sweater with the insect sky embroidery on it and all. Everything was like made, like,
Wow. It
so.
wasn't
So I
sourced.
think that nothing in that film is sourced at all. Like, like everything like was made for her. And the best part in the film was her imagination of the Ramayana. If you
Yes.
have seen, I think that was something which we went like completely dystopian. In her brain, she's hallucinating. So we got this full whole thing to make like a out of the box ideas of Ram's blue color, where he's only
Yes.
head is painted blue and his outfits are. So there was a massive, I could say, like, creative rush in that film.
That is actually my next question. There's two characters that work with her.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there were three. Ram, yeah,
There's
there was
three, but
Ramji,
ha.
Hanumanji, and Jatayu.
Yes. Where did you get the inspiration for those costumes?
It was completely like on the space to, we wanted to show Ram as the king, and she in her head is playing Sita already, where she's going through like the trauma of being in Ravan's kingdom. So the whole mind space was like that to kind of develop a character who's caught in a evil atmosphere, and Ram keeps representing her hope and freedom, and Hanuman is like adding the strength to her, and Jatayu is the savior. So she keeps like speaking to them and they're always like guiding her. And so the inspiration for all these things that we made, like, of course, when you talk about Ram, we always think about the king with the most ethics for, and also being a warrior. So we made this very vague armory, which was like a very dystopian. It didn't look like, how we see an armor now. So we had made with very raw articles to put like, like we made a fiber, three paneled shoulder armor, and even we painted his face like to give like a very holy, like a spiritual incline. The entire forehead was blue in color. Then we did for Hanuman. Hanuman we went very quirky. We gave him a little photographer jacket with his embroidered thing, like on the shorts, and his jacket had this very quirky tins to show, made like an armor. And then even Jatayu, we had gone like that whole fur, like a feathered thing for his wings, and everything was attached. So we sketched these things. And then, of course, getting them like made from our brilliant karigars and tailors to kind of fix it. Technically, how we have to punch where so the wings open in a very cool way and doesn't hinder actors. So we did all these interesting things, like.
Yeah, I love those looks, and especially Ram wears, this drape.
So what we did was like was a silk dhoti. What we again the print was very like we taken a slightly ajrak print thing because but it was still blue, but we draped it in like a slightly hip hop. It had a slight hip hop vibe to it, so it looked like and we also gave boots and all to wear with it. We were trying to get that dystopian Ramayana space sorted in there, so without like harming to make anything look funny or anything look like vague, and she's hallucinating these things. So we, of course, now from her point of view, where she's a childlike person in the head, how she would create this in her head. So we it was a blank paper for us to make these characters, and still not make them look mythological.
Yes, and the contrast in their outfit is what I really, really liked with the, drape, but with boots and stuff.